This episode of Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient recipe delivery service in the country. The mission is to make incredible cooking accessible to everyone. Not all ingredients are created equal. Fresh, high-quality ingredients make a real difference, so it's important to know where your food comes from. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Greg Miller, you might know the guy from his world-renowned Instagram series, Cooking with Greggy. He's all about this Blue Apron goodness. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/gamecast. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/gamecast. No S in there. Blue Apron. Better way to cook. We can now move on to the
conversational
second
show.
topic of the day.
Topic 2.
E3 predictions, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It's going to happen. June.
This show, by the way,
Nobody knows when it
thank you
is.
to Salem, got him all got him.
What up,
for being
Patreon
Patreon
producer?
You are the man, the myth, the legend. I want to talk about E3 predictions, and I want to put this out there now.
Okay.
This is our right now, March 29th.
Yeah.
I want to have a first round. Let's start talking about E3, what we think is going to happen from a big perspective. Later, obviously, we'll do more in depth.
We'll dive.
We'll
Here's
dive
this
deep.
rumor.
We'll
Here's
dive
this thing.
deep.
What's going to happen?
We'll take
Okay.
bets. We'll make try to see what we think is going to happen.
We should throw some things out there that we can loop back to, as it were,
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm
and
at.
say, did we get it? Did we not get it?
So all these topics that we're talking about
Keep
today
score.
are
Competitive.
topics that you have suggested to us over
yes.
time.
That I've been bugging you about for just shooting them out like crazy. Like, talk about this, talk about this.
And so now, like, all right, cool, you're here. So
And here we are.
let's talk
So we
about
can
it.
do 'em.
So
love
E3,
it.
what I want to talk about is the press conferences, specifically the big three: Nintendo, Xbox,
Ubisoft.
PlayStation.
Oh, PlayStation. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies.
Ubisoft.
And
that's
we'll-
the new big
well, I'm
three.
sure we'll bring those guys up as well. But I want to talk about what we think they're going to do at their conferences from just overall. Because last year and this year, very different landscapes that
Very
we're dealing
different.
with, right?
Changed a
Last
lot.
year, Nintendo comes out. They had their one game, which was Zelda.
Amazing
Not
booth
Zelda,
for Zelda, but nothing else.
Yeah, and people loved it.
Yep.
Game of the show from
Yep.
so many people.
Yep.
But
Not us.
not us. We love
Horizon.
it, though. But
Yep.
Zelda, that was their game. They didn't even do a direct. The previous years, Nintendo's been doing directs. Their last E3 conference was 2012, if not 2013. Maybe, no, it was 2013 because 14 was the first time they did a direct. We were still at IGN. Yeah. So, Sony comes out. Games.
They have to.
Home run, grand slam, sports references.
You have not. You don't know how home runs
One
are.
home run.
If you do 4 home runs in a row,
run.
that's a grand slam, right?
Yeah,
Tim?
yeah. So there's that. And then Xbox, surprising everybody,
Yeah.
coming out and being like, very solid.
Yeah.
Very solid conference. I'm out of order on this, but
course.
very, very solid conference. Announced Scorpio, blowing people's minds. Nobody expected that.
Yeah.
Everyone expected PS4 Pro. That didn't happen.
But getting very technical on stuff Microsoft and
Teraflops.
flops and all the shit
Yeah,
that.
but them flops.
Gotta have them flops, man. Gotta have
It's
the
funny
floppies.
you talk about it, and that was the interesting thing, right, about both PlayStation and Nintendo, right, where they had to get out in front of those stories. Where Nintendo's like, Switch will not be there, and PlayStation's like, we're not doing the pro stuff. Like, that's not what this is about. For
Remind me, we knew the Switch. We knew something was coming from Nintendo. But
we knew NX. We knew X was
about
going to give it.
NX, that's right.
But we knew that
NX,
NX
right.
would not be at E3, and we knew that Nintendo was only going to have one game at E3.
Gotcha.
And so they had Zelda. In addition to that, they released the Zelda trailer.
I'm gonna grab a computer. I feel like I'm gonna need a computer. I
Okay.
need more
get a
historical
little
information.
data. Get yourself some data.
This
Get some
was the-
knowledge.
It was the
Knowledge
first,
yourself up.
the first Zelda Breath of the Wild trailer where they revealed the name of the game.
Okay.
That wasn't the first trailer. They revealed the name of the game. The first trailer was at E3 2014.
Did they really show one that far back?
Yeah, it was 2014. Yeah, it must have been. When
Remember, we thought it was gonna be Wii U forever. So it's
yeah,
not
well,
like
yeah, it was a
it's
Wii U game.
Yeah,
and Link
that's
came out and like jumped and shot the Guardian with the arrow.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but we knew it was Breath of the Wild then. And then they went on to do the Nintendo Treehouse all
There's
day.
the big daddy.
The Treehouse all day where they demoed Zelda and showed all the.
Was that
fucking
Treehouse
things you
awesome,
could
by the
do.
way? Like to
It was
see
amazing.
it from a distance looked
Oh, it was
freaking
great.
phenomenal.
Yeah, they're so good.
Like
but they did talk
multi-million
about
dollar set. Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo at E3, like the actual set is.
They do it right.
E3's lineup of PlayStation next to Nintendo is always such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Like
Right.
their booths are awesome. But they did announce a bunch of random 3DS games as well, but that was like just during the Treehouse, and it was like smaller titles here and there, and like some Wii U stuff too, but nobody gave a fuck at all.
Literally, right?
Yeah. So then yeah, there was PlayStation just straight killing it. But yeah, Microsoft was the one that was a bit more like they had a lot of the big AAA third-party games. They had that Final Fantasy 15 showing that was embarrassing. And then they showed Scalebound.
They showed
as well
Scalebound.
before it got canceled.
Yep.
A whole bunch of other stuff, Sea of Thieves.
They
all
did.
that.
Did they do a? I think they did a Crackdown teaser, or was that the very end of it? I want to say they did, which I'm still questioning
we
where
haven't
we
seen
are with
Crackdown.
Crackdown.
We haven't
for
seen
a
Crackdown
long
in a
time.
long
I think it
time.
might have
Which is
been the last
painful,
time.
'cause
I think
man,
that's the thing. I
love
don't
the
think
first
Crackdown was there last year, was it?
I think they skipped. I mean, they announced. I remember they announced it one year and then they skipped, and everybody was like,
Yeah.
"Where the hell is it?" And
So that must have been last. Anyways, getting to it now.
Yep.
Predictions. What do we think is going to happen this year? Where do you want to start, Greg?
Wherever you want to, big guy.
Let's start with Microsoft.
okay,
Okay.
let's do that.
I think they open and they come right out with Scorpio.
Top of the show.
Do
Yeah,
they
I
do they
do.
teraflop us
Yeah,
to death?
I mean, I think it's one of those things that there's an argument to be made either way. In the fact that, hey, 2017, I can't remember what year it is, doesn't look great for Nintendo or Xbox exclusives, right? Like, what are we talking about? And that's been the thing. When Scalebound
not
went
much.
away, right? It
Right.
was like, don't worry, there's State of Decay 2,
K2.
there's Crackdown, and it was like, well, sure, like, you know, Colin was right about it, where it was like, yeah, well, Greg's excited for State of Decay 2. that's not a Halo. That's not this
that's
giant
not a
thing.
system seller. That's not anything like what we've seen with Sony's first party stuff here in the last little bit.
Yeah,
Not even close.
And so that's the thing of like, I think you come out and while that press conference has to address the fact of, hey, there are still games this year, I think you lead with the biggest story you have of like, hey, here's Scorpio and here's what it is. And there's an argument to be made to put it at the end of the show and make a big deal about it, but that's how they ended the show last time.
But didn't they
Everybody's
learn, I mean,
waiting.
you got to think that, not to interrupt you, but you got to think that they had to have learned from the initial Xbox One launch event.
Yeah.
That was that really, didn't go the way they wanted. And given the home run that Sony hit last year with games, I mean, that whole press conference was wall to wall.
Sure.
Yes, you want to talk about the new hardware, but I got to think Microsoft's figured out that this is the time to talk about games too.
Sure, but I think they go hand in hand. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I think you come out and you're like, Scorpio, this is what we've been quiet. And then you even market it this way, like, this is why we've been quiet about what games are happening this year. We're going to show you all these different games
So that's
that,
what I
yes,
hope.
play on Xbox
That's
One
what I
and
hope.
play on are better on Scorpio.
Yep. And
I hope so, too.
I think that it needs to be the kind of the actual good parts of the Nintendo Switch January conference they did, like the few good things.
The non-campy straight, right?
Like that conference was so bad, but again, I always say that the announcements made in it were not bad.
No, they weren't.
Specifically, starting that conference off, hey, Switch is coming March 3rd.
Right, immediately.
Sooner than
Right.
anyone thought it was
just
coming.
the campiness,
Bam, and then the rest of it
cultural
sucks.
campiness,
Yeah.
weirdness, right? That's it.
But if Xbox comes out and it's just like, Scorpio is this, here's how much it costs, here's the date it's coming, let's talk about the games you're going to
See,
play
I wouldn't
on
be
it.
surprised if they totally dodged the price. Because
Save the price for the end of it, or save the price
I think
for
save it for a
separate
different event because I think
Okay.
that the big rumor and the thing about this is it's going to be super expensive because it
is.
is going to be it's going to have awesome guts in it.
I can tell you from just the industry that I'm in, component parts are really going up a lot. I mean, they're going to be challenged to put this box out at a reasonable price. I mean, it's going to be an expensive product. I mean, what they're trying to put in this thing, this is a genuine, it's a PC.
Yeah.
It is a very, I say high end, it's a mid to upper range PC. It is.
And so it gets into this is where it gets into the weeds of, since it's not a new console, even though on the show before I predicted,
Yep.
I think maybe it will be. Maybe they will ditch all that stuff.
I don't even know where I sit anymore on those
Yeah.
predictions.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
What is Scorpio now? Now that the PS4 Pro is out, and now that we're getting these rumors, and we know they're going to hit hard at E3. I honestly don't really know. I feel
And the
like
rumors
I'm kind of 50-50
about
on it.
the rumors about Scorpio that were leaked, I would say, in the last 3 to 4 months, but then were from documentation at the reveal of Scorpio at E3. We're saying basically it is PlayStation 4 Pro before we knew what PlayStation 4 Pro was. It was doing the checkerboarding
Right.
thing. It
Yeah.
was doing
Yeah,
all this. So like, it's this weird. How do you handle it, and how do you learn from what Sony has and not even fucked up, right? Because you guys have pros and you're super excited about them. When my PlayStation 4 dies, I will buy a PlayStation 4 Pro because of course I want the better version. I want the best version. I'm just not motivated to run out and buy it. What have they learned from that? And I think that's why it has to. You have to make the case of here's what the Scorpio is. Here's how this is the teraflops. Let's look at 13 games that are coming to the Xbox One and the Scorpio, but are better on Scorpio.
And hope
here's
that
how
they
and
demo.
why.
I mean, that's the issue with a lot of that technology is it doesn't demo well. It doesn't. I mean, it's the same challenge VR had. It's the same challenge that HDR has. It's the
4K,
same challenge.
everything,
all of it. Unless you have the right setup to see it, it rings really hollow. Like it does, you don't get it. So I think Microsoft's got to walk a really interesting line of they have to hit the hardware because that's what they're trying to go do. They need to sell consoles. They need to kind of get back.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got to get people excited about the Xbox brand again.
Exactly.
And that's where there's this disconnect on how this is going to be handled. If I'm there and I'm doing it, I'm getting you excited about Scorpio, so I'm opening with Scorpio. And I'm saying Scorpio is this next revolution. It does all these different things. Look at all these different games, blah, 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 blah. If they're coming at it and they're thinking it is an incremental step, it is like PlayStation 4 Pro, then you put that later mid in the conference somewhere.
See,
there.
I don't know, man.
But I don't think you can do that.
Because everyone's expecting you to come. If you don't hit it right away, it's going to be a lot of people looking at their watch like, when are they going to
when's it
do
gonna
this?
happen? I think that
what does it mean for these games that I'm seeing?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in between the two where I forever thought that it was going to be the next Xbox system. Like they're saying whatever the fuck they want. This is the Xbox 2 or whatever the hell.
Or just go back to calling it Xbox.
Whatever it is, right? But the closer we get to this and where I'm at right now, I do think that this is just a better PS4 Pro. Like I think that they'll be able to come out and say we have the most powerful system.
But if they don't hit that head on, that's a problem because PS4 Pro's been out for how long now? And if they just say we're just playing catch up.
I mean, but that's the thing is they can say whatever they want.
Right.
So all they need to do is be stronger than PS4 Pro and to be able to say we're the strongest. Right? So that could be the messaging.
They do that with games though. They have to do it with games.
Still, but what I imagine happening is they come out, they announce this thing, and there's been
they
rumors.
announced at the beginning, you think?
I do think that I mean that does make sense. But they come out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with a price $400.
Really?
Yeah. Whew. And I'm putting this out there. Just being like,
I feel like they have to.
That is bet number one on the table, fellas.
I was going to say, we'll make bets when we're closer. But
I'll bet you an Xbox Scorpio.
I'll bet you a Scorpio.
Like where I'm at right now, I think that the Xbox One is a $400 product that is incrementally better. And it is going to be stronger than the PS4 Pro, but it is still just an incremental console. It's
I think
not the next
500
console.
guys, that's a big, for the non...
For the losing team,
that's a tough.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Climb.
I think this might be like a PS3 situation where they have to sell it at a loss. They have to try to make up ground. You know what I mean? Fine. Well, I'm saying PlayStation cut their price before they were able to do that. Here, just cut it out the gate and be like, "Yep, we're doing this. We have to make it up, and we have to make you excited. And we have to go do this thing."
And the fact that the Switch was $300, I don't think 400 is that crazy. And I think obviously people on the inside are gonna be like, "Oh, like 400 is so cheap. We think it's going to be 600, 700, but I just don't see that working out unless it is a brand new console. And at this point, I don't see Xbox doing that. But so getting into, we're talking about games are necessary. What are those games? Because I do think that we're going to see Halo at this E3.
They have
it's not going to come out this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a late 2018 game, but Halo will be at E3.
So first of all, what do we know that is first party end of the year? What are the big cornerstone hang their hat on
that's
titles?
the problem, right? Is that we don't, because it is Crackdown. They've said Crackdown's coming this year. They've said State of Decay is coming this year.
Huge.
Halo Wars is February. Like that.
Halo Wars already came out.
Oh, did it? Oh God, what the fuck month is
I know.
Jesus Christ, you're 100% right. My apologies. And I was like, it's February. Jesus Christ, this year.
Love Sunset Overdrive, one of my favorite games.
That's why you're gonna love Spider-Man.
But that can't be close. If there is a
they're not gonna do
sequel
that.
to
They're not.
There's nothing there.
No way.
No.
Right?
Yeah. No.
So I don't know what. They have to show Halo then.
I mean,
in that vein.
If I was a betting
another
man,
Forza. They're gonna have.
There's
some.
gonna be Forza.
Of course.
There's gonna be cars everywhere.
Sure.
Forza Horizon, Forza
everywhere.
Whatever. But with Halo, if I had to bet, I would bet that they announce Halo 6, whatever that is, and
have some kind of playable demo.
I imagine if I'm doing my math right, I am. Halo 3's 10th anniversary is this year. They will do a Halo 3 update in the same way that they've done the other guys.
Master
Halo
Chief Collection.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Halo 3, I mean, Halo 3 was part of the Chief Collection, but I think that they'll
Their
do a
own
more
version, right.
remastered, like focus on it. Let's
Add some tools, add some of
Celebration
the
Edition.
different stuff in, right? Yep.
And I think that will either have a beta or some form of demo or something for Halo 6, and that'll be this year. And then
The beta will be.
Yep.
In
So do
Halo
we?
6,
There's
yeah.
really nothing. I mean, think of that's a pretty weird spot for Microsoft to be in
Cuphead.
just before E3
Finally.
to not have. I mean, think of Sony's. They had a stable of games.
But
Now,
the
some
thing-
of them were. I mean, Last Guard. I mean,
Xbox is the third party.
no, I know,
Like,
I know,
when
I
it,
know.
when
No,
it
I know.
comes
Yeah, yeah.
to their conferences, they've always done that. So Assassin's Creed,
So
it'll
maybe
be
they pull
there.
that in. So
Right.
they pull the
Yeah,
new
yeah.
Assassin's
Assassin's
Creed
Creed
in.
Empire
Is there
is,
a
I
Far
think,
Cry
rumored, yeah.
5? Is there a
Those type of games. I
Right.
mean, obviously, UB has its own conference.
Sure, but they
they'll-
pulled those in.
they'll-
though.
yeah, no,
shown
they'll
at
definitely
Xbox.
be, yeah.
They've pulled those in the past and done fine with them. So yeah, but there's got to be some. I mean, there. Here's my bet: they are going to announce something big. That'll be Bethesda style, Fallout 4 style, where they'll have a big game that'll come out. It'll
This
be
year.
This year. There'll be something. I have no idea what it will be because I was kind of going through.
I mean, I
as
think-
I was getting ready, like what stuff haven't we heard about?
And I feel like the
They
Halo
have to-
3
don't-
anniversary is
Don't
like
they have to? I mean,
what
they have
could
to
do
have
there.
something.
I mean, that's. I mean, you're.
Maybe I'm wrong. They have to do something though.
You think that they do, especially for Scorpio. This is this game. This is what's gonna look amazing on. This is what's gonna be.
Why else are you?
But it's in like you can make an argument that the Crackdown could be that, and that's why you haven't heard from Crackdown
Could
is
be.
that they're doing Scorpio stuff to it.
Which is
Could that move the needle
Very
that far? Though? I
likely.
mean,
no,
is that
I don't
really?
think Crackdown's that big of a franchise.
What I
Crackdown's
don't
a
know
big
what
deal to
Crackdown
us.
sold, but
Yeah,
it
we all love to
wasn't-
jump around and fucking grab
it's
boards.
Halo. Halo is the answer when it comes to
Yeah.
this conversation, and I think that a new Halo on Scorpio pushed the right way and talked about the right way with a Halo coming this year to satiate people's needs. I think that is big enough because that is what Xbox has. Like they have Gears, they have. I mean, I'm sure we'll see some Gears DLC. And
Gears was
like,
good, by the way. I don't know if you
stuff
played Gears. Gears was good.
I'm
It was
not a
good.
Gears guy, but
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was-
But I mean, the thing is, they already had that. So
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
what other big franchises does Xbox have
when
at this
was
point?
Halo 5? 2015?
Yeah, 2015.
November 20. So it's
Yeah. I
2
think
it was
years
October.
out.
So that's what I'm saying. Halo's going to be there.
Yep.
October 27th, 2015,
Yeah. And can you look up Halo 3's release date?
right there.
So they're-
September
There we go.
25th, 2007.
So they're going to
So
have
it
to
is the
lean
10th
heavily
anniversary.
third. I mean, they got to fill an hour. I mean, they
I
moved
mean,
it to
that's-
Sunday. They got to fill an hour and a half. They better not come out and fill an hour of hardware, tech spec. Here's all the other non-gamey stuff that
Yeah.
Scorpio can do. They made that again mistake. I don't want to say mistake because they're well-intentioned people who know their business way better than any of us do. But you got an hour and a half to fill. They're going to have to come out with some
You
pretty
figure
beefy
they've done
announcements of some
yeah,
kind.
that's the thing is it's. I'm not saying they've given up PlayStation's given up the indie ground by any stretch of the imagination. They still are a place you go to, but like Xbox has made a big deal about indies forever. At GDC, I just went to that Xbox indie event where I played Church in the Darkness and a bunch of other stuff. When you go to PAX, they have their off-site thing back at the
Phil
campus.
talks
where
about
they
it
do
all. I mean, it's a big. It's their part of their
you
culture.
assume that there are. If you can come out and you can have tent poles and you can have. It's just that it's the tent poles I'm pointing to aren't your traditional tent poles of Crackdown and State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves and then Halo. Sure, Halo's on another level if they do all that Halo stuff. If you can give people those signposts and then fill it in with, and here are these great indies, and here are these amazing things, here are these plans for these games to actually come out that are exclusive and you can't get these experiences anywhere else.
Looking at this list right here, something interesting that I hadn't thought about is Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
Now, Perfect Dark is. It's been way too long since we've seen one, so it's not the juggernaut that it used to be.
Sure. But it
it's
still has that name.
It still has a name, and that has that comeback, like, oh shit, this is happening feel that is bigger than the killer instincts that they have, and they've been treating really well and kind of growing over the last couple of years. But if we got a strong developer to come out and be like, we're doing a new
doing it,
Perfect
and-
Dark, and we're doing it
and
how
we're
a
really far
2017,
along, and we're really
yeah.
Yeah. We've been working on this a long time and it looks better in Scorpio and
It
does
just
all
it,
this
all
it
that,
feels to me like
that could be cool.
That could be very cool. It just seems to me like, especially in the last, I don't know, maybe 4 years, there have been so many good press conferences and so many bad ones. They all learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the year where all of the things that people have learned are, there's not going to be any mistakes anymore as far as totally missing the market.
It's
hope.
not even that thing of it mistakes. It's the fact of like, oh, we're on Crackdown, State of Decay, awesome, a Halo thing, great. But is that enough?
Right,
is that
they just don't have
enough?
enough.
And so that's why
It's
you got to
possible.
hang your hat on. Scorpio is this revolution, and then let's look at the developers we've partnered with, and we have some kind of. Like, you know, where do they get their clocks cleaned? It seems like there's always exclusive content this generation for PlayStation. So what do you have for, you know, we have some deal with the next Battlefront. You know what I mean? Like, we're out there doing something to this effect.
Yeah, but
But I mean,
those
that
things matter.
helps.
Those
Yeah.
things, you know,
They do
they
matter.
do
They do.
add up here and there.
But it's a here and there. It's not a change the game, right?
Now, game changer thing. The thing with Halo is it's been around for so long, and it's had, you know, the 5 core titles, ODST and Reach, in addition to that. So that's 6 full games, right? No, sorry, 7 full real proper Halo games.
5 regular, and then
And the 2.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's the Halo Wars, totally different type of spin-off. I think that it could be time for another Halo property that's not a Halo game. You know, that's not
Just
what you think of a
set
first-person
in that
shooter.
universe.
Set in the universe, different style of game. Whether it's an Uncharted style game,
Yeah.
which could be crazy cool,
Yeah.
or something more Mass Effect style, that it's a bit more RPG.
Well, because they went that way with
Character
all the
building.
TV stuff, and they hired lots of big studio. I mean, they were
The
going
Halo
that
world
way.
is awesome, and
Sure.
people love the characters. And they've started this arc with Halo 4 and 5, where they're moving past what 1, 2, and 3 built off, and there now is all these different characters
like
and
it.
classes and all this shit.
Yeah.
And I think that the world is ready, especially now that Bungie's moved on to Destiny. Like 343 knows what they're doing with
They do.
Halo,
Yep.
and it is getting a bit samey. The people that love it still love it.
Sure.
But I do think that Halo as a property can bring back so many people that left, and it can also bring so many new people in if they're like, hey, this is different.
Think of the pitch sells itself if you come out and this is the Star Wars 1313 of
Yes.
Halo.
Yeah.
You are somebody else. You're not a Spartan. You're not in that part of the world. You're bounty hunter or whatever. You're doing these different things going there. The other thing that cued in my mind while we were talking about this, when we talk about something they could have, stick with me because again, I don't think this is that big of a deal based on how it's performed on Xbox before. We know in quotes of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. What if Shadow of the Tomb Raider, they reveal
That's
that there,
right.
and it is, once again, it's this Xbox deal. You can only get it here for this first year.
Yeah.
Again, not going to be the tentpole in the way of like, that's going to sell a fucking million units.
But still,
But
right?
hey, we've got this.
We
And
got a quality game.
Yeah.
what gets more interesting too is think about this. Okay, they revealed at the PlayStation event, or which one was it? Was E3 last year? Yeah, E3 last year, they reveal Spider-Man, right? Did Xbox
shit.
immediately run to Marvel and was like, "Oh, you're doing this?
That's a
Let's
very
do something,
solid
Bill.
point.
Let's do something, Mike. Let's do something, Marvel Games. These are Marvel Games people, if you don't know. What do you have that we could do, and who can we partner with, and can we get one of our studios doing it, or another second-party studio to go off and make our thing?" And again, it's similar to what.
And you've got the movies are right. I mean, there's a couple coming
Sure.
out here.
With the
quick, so-
Avengers game, there is any
I think they've
console
announced that
confirmed?
it's
I
everywhere.
imagine
I'll
it's
check.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I think
Or at least PlayStation.
I'll
and
double check.
Xbox. But yeah, that's a really solid point. Like, what if there was potentially the Guardians game that is rumored?
Square's doing it, aren't
Oh,
Guardians could be an Xbox.
That's a great
exclusive.
point. Yeah.
they? It's Square that's doing the Avengers, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's what the rumor is.
Square,
Eidos
Crystal,
Montreal.
Eidos.
Yeah. Which is part of the Square family,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But just to be clear, it's Square Enix has announced the Marvel thing. Crystal
I mean, it goes back
Dynamics.
to my point of excuse
With
me, I
Eidos
think
Montreal.
There's going to be some big announcement. I mean, I just feel it. There has to be. There's just not enough here, I think, otherwise for them. They're going to have to come out with something. I mean, Phil Spencer's a gamer, right? At the core of that guy
and-
is a
yeah,
gamer.
Like they know what they need.
They
and
know
so,
what they
yeah.
need. So I can't imagine this doesn't go something big,
Yeah.
game changing. I mean, think of where Sony did really well last year was in every year was the Last Guardian watch, and it was this and it was that. And when they finally did it, I remember I think it was the year. I'm a big Portal, I'm a huge Portal fan as well.
yeah.
That announcement was so awesome. At that. I mean,
2009.
like, oh my! I mean, like,
2009
came out?
no,
E3.
the Portal 2
Portal
one.
2
that
was
was
announced.
just the voice, just
that
GLaDOS.
Yep, and it's coming to
saying,
PlayStation, and
Holy
like
smokes!
everyone's like, what the
those
fuck?
Those moments.
I was there. I was at the conference. That was my first conference
Dude,
ever.
Those moments
it was 2010 then. Yeah.
are like for everybody huge. And again, I feel like they've learned. Like everybody's watched this and seen it. They got to have one of those moments where something is kind of a mind screw,
Yep.
crazy something. Because dude, those moments are just you remember them forever.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'll never forget that. Like, oh my God, they totally nailed this. Like this is a perfect way to announce a game right? It was, I don't know.
And then they ended that conference with David Jaffe riding out on a sweet tooth.
After you fucking you lied to our face, Jaffe.
Speaking of, did you see that that's going to be, you probably did, and I'm behind, that's going to be one of the free games?
Oh, yeah. Drawn to Death got announced a while back, yeah. That it's going to be, that's how they're going to do it.
Wow, that's amazing to me that a brand new game comes out right out of the gate as a free to play.
Well,
it worked for Rocket League.
Yeah, it worked for Rocket League. It's impressive League, because, like, usually, no offense, it's usually smaller games, smaller indie things that are getting out there, right? Or not even indie, but second party. And so, yeah, for them to do this with Jaffe, it's interesting. And I think it'll be interesting.
Have you guys seen it? Have you played it?
No, yeah. I played it at PSX that debut. It's what I was thinking with Drawn to Death is that it's totally a game that shouldn't speak to me on paper.
Yeah.
But playing it, I was like, oh, this is fun. And it's the same thing where, like, car combat, usually isn't my thing, but I loved calling all cars. Like Jaffe has something there. He knows what he's doing multiplayer wise. And so I'm interested to play the final product and see it. And it'll be very fascinating to see if it's not going to be Rocket League, but that, hey, here's this game that you've heard about for way too long. Yeah, right. For way too long. That has been way too confusing because it was free to play and now it's not free to play. But now it's just fucking free. You got it. You're paying online, right? Why not play this game online? Why not fuck around?
Does it seem like what I only play one online multiplayer game?
DC Universe Online.
Battlefield.
Okay, my apologies.
It's the one that I've kind of, because they're so freaking complicated.
Yeah,
most
that one's
of them.
not. And that one's Star Wars. Have fun.
Yeah, right. No, I mean the Battlefield. The
Battlefield.
Yes, not Battlefront. Battlefield. Right, which is can be really like Battlefield 4 is insanely. I mean that community is really serious, right? But most of those games are not any fun because people spend thousands of hours playing them, right? Mm-hmm. And jumping in and going 0 for 60 is not fun. You get your ass kicked from every corner by people who just have learned. That's why I can't play Call of Duty for more than 10 minutes. Does it have any of that? Is it more Rocket League in the sense of it's casual and can be fun?
Hard to say.
If you don't put hundreds of hours into it?
That's the thing is I never jumped into the beta and did any of that jazz. Okay. You know what I mean? So like I was just playing against people at PSX who didn't know what to do. And that's the same way I played Rocket League where I loved Rocket League and then Rocket League gets out and it's just like, well, I just went, 22-0, so this sucks. You know, whatever the fucking score was. I don't know how it's going to end up being in terms of that. It seems like it's going to be pick up and play, run around and do it. Maybe, with private matchmaking, you'll be able to have more fun and keep it that way, but we'll see.
Yeah.
You got me sold on this, Greg. Marvel game.
So far with me clicking around, it looks like Avengers Project has no platforms announced.
Yeah.
Now, I doubt that'll happen. I think Avengers is going to be everywhere. But then again, if you would have told me they're putting out a Spider-Man game, I would have been like, oh, yeah, well, it's going to be everywhere.
All right, so that's interesting. Is there any last thoughts on Microsoft? On Xbox.
This is what I love. I hate when we go into E3 and people are always like, what are you most excited about, right? And I'm always like, I'm excited about not knowing. Yeah. And that's why this episode is one of those things of us being like,
not know year. Yeah.
We're like, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do, but they need to do something. And I think that, as you said.
That's profound, by the way. I don't know what you need to do, but you need to do something.
Phil Spencer gets that.
He does.
The ID at Xbox team gets that. The people who are going out making these third-party partnerships and second-party partnerships get that. And so I do think that, they understand where they're at. They understand that they've gotten their ass kicked this generation. Here's Scorpio. Here's why you need it. Here are these amazing games. And hopefully here are these franchises, announcements, and partnerships you never expected.
So Xbox 2 years ago, backwards compatibility, boom. Mm-hmm. That was for us types, a big deal. Xbox Game Pass now a thing. Do you think that they have something like that or maybe iterate on Game Pass a bit more at E3?
I think if anything, it would be like, we're having a really exciting year and everybody loves Xbox Game Pass and let's talk about the games we're adding to it right now and we're putting up and having this. The real thing.
I think with Scorpio, there's an opportunity to best of both worlds where you don't do the Xbox One thing and look at all the different things you can do that aren't video games. It's the opposite Netflix. Where it's like, here's this new system. It's the best place to play games. Speaking of playing games, you can play a shit ton of games. Best on Scorpio. Using the Xbox Game Pass, you have this built-in library once you get
and
the
stuff
console.
That they've figured out that we always kind of crack on Nintendo for, that I bought the same fucking game 50 times because they have no idea how to do DRM and they have Xbox figured that shit out forever ago, right? So they could absolutely come out and do that.
The other big thing that we're not talking about because they have to have some kind of announcement, some kind of partnership, whatever, and this is one of those flip of the coins up in the air. Who is going to have Red Dead?
Ooh, will someone have Red Dead?
I think there'll be exclusive content of some kind of Red Dead. I think if Microsoft wants to make waves, they have a trailer there. They do something. And don't get me
Rockstar roll that way.
And that's the thing. Rockstar knows they don't need them.
No,
but it is that thing of like, what if they've done exclusive content? They've done windowed things like that. They do
at E3.
No, not at E3.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
I know.
When do we think Red Dead is though?
Let's look at Red Dead.
Yep.
Does it come out this year?
No. I wish. Don't get me wrong. I wish. I know that's what we're all talking about, but it's just one of those things
I can't see it.
This goes back and forth to where, like, when we're talking about like Persona, and people are like, "Pff, it's on their website, the release date." And I'm like, games move all the time. That game moved like 15 fucking
look
times.
at the history of Grand Theft Auto 5 and everything else.
And that was the thing. Grand Theft Auto 5 was like, here's when it's coming out, and that slipped. You know what I mean? Like, I would fucking love Red Dead to come out this year. But I don't know,
dude. I mean, the thing about Rockstar that's blowing my mind too, and I love GTA 5 as everybody did. They're still releasing stuff, however far past this has been, and not just little piddly shit, like genuine, completely new modes. I mean, they pour so much money after the fact into games. And it's not even really DLC. It's just they just keep going.
Well, I mean, like that thing's a cash cow. The people who play that game don't stop playing that game.
They never stop. It's insane to go even on Twitch and to watch. I mean, so I think Red Dead is easily a year off.
And that's the biggest thing about it. It's not even. It's the business acumen of they have no reason to rush this out. And so, as with any other game, let alone a game following up on a masterpiece, you're going to sit there and be like, well, we could do this better, we could do that better. And then Rockstar
they're in no
that.
rush.
They have that ability to be like, we don't need it, don't worry.
There's nothing about Rockstar that indicates releasing anything quickly, early. So it'd be nice.
Yep. And as much as we every year, it's always like the Rockstar doesn't do stuff at E3, but maybe this year.
And that's the thing is, like, again, I think Xbox isn't quote unquote desperate enough, but they understand they need to make waves. They need to punch this thing in the face.
Yeah.
They need to make everybody go, holy shit, Xbox is
That
back.
would be a punch.
Yeah. And if they're like, hey, we get DLC early or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks
Very
best on
interesting.
Scorpio.
Yep.
They're working part and parcel with us to make this game better.
Let me hit y'all with some of that sweet, nasty. If you click right here, you can subscribe to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames for way more of this content. Click here for way more just other kind of funny content, like, I don't know, The Morning Show and Game Over Greggy. You can click here for Patreon, and bam, you're giving us money. We can do cooler stuff. Andy Cortez can have a clone.